Hey friends, can I make a confession? I come from a long line of independent people. I can be really stubborn too, just ask my husband. And I'm not very good at asking for help either. I've been this way for a long time. In fact, once when I was in elementary school, I drank what I thought was tea out of my dad's water bottle. It was sitting on the coffee table in the living room, so naturally I did what any kid would do, and I helped myself. Yeah, except it was chain lube and not tea. It was in a water bottle and it smelled like sweet oranges. I totally panicked, just thinking I had drank poison. And instead of asking for help, I tried to fix it myself. I rinsed my mouth out and eventually figured out it was non-toxic. But as a parent, I'm wondering, what was I thinking? What was my dad thinking leaving that on the table? Did I ask for help? No. We can laugh about it now, but this is an awful reality on so many levels. But if this had been you, would you have asked for help? I sure hope so. I really wish that I had. How about in other instances, on a scale of 1 to 10, how likely are you to ask for help? Your answer probably depends on what the problem is and who you need to ask for help. The problem is none of us are as independent as we'd like to think. Did you know sheep are like this too? Their independent tendencies can get them into all sorts of trouble. You should check out these images right here. I feel so sorry for these poor sheep. I just want to help them. On their own, they wouldn't make it because sheep need a shepherd. If they get stuck, the shepherd gets them out. If they fall over, the shepherd gets them back up on their legs. If they're sick, the shepherd tends to them. If they're fighting, the shepherd brings order. If the sheep are in danger, the shepherd protects them. Sheep need a shepherd. On their own, they would quite literally starve, suffocate, or dehydrate. Do you ever feel like you need someone to protect you, to pick you back up, to take care of you when you're sick? Do you ever feel stuck? I do. I can try and take care of myself like I did when I drank that non-toxic chain lube, or I can admit I'm like a sheep. And sheep need a shepherd. I need a shepherd. And guess what? You need a shepherd. There are circumstances right now shouting in your ears, crying out for help and resolution. Maybe it's your child with special needs who desperately needs your attention, but you don't have anything left to give. Maybe it's your boss. He has unrealistic expectations and nothing you do can appease him. Maybe it's an uncertain future and you need guidance. Maybe it's the voice in your head saying, nobody sees you, and it's screaming for attention. Can I encourage you? There is a shepherd who can and will be there for you. He sees you and he's ready to help. The Lord is my shepherd. I lack nothing. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. He guides me along the right paths for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil because you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me. You prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil and my cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Those words are so comforting. But are they really words that are for everyone? They're so often read on deathbeds or at funerals. They're words that give us hope in dark times. They give us comfort in times of need. But can everyone really cling to these? Are they like the free samples at Costco that are just there for the taking? No. These words cost the Good Shepherd everything. These words were written for the sheep, that good shepherd we call Jesus. If we look just one psalm back, I'll show you. It says, my God, why have you forsaken me? Why are you so far from saving me, so far from my cries of anguish? Do these words sound familiar? Jesus spoke that first part, those heart-wrenching words, as he hung on the cross. They were actually written nearly 1,000 years before he set aside his royal robes of heaven to live among his sheep, the ones he created. These sheep were not born into his flock. They were purchased. To enjoy the comfort and assurance of Psalm 23, we must accept the reality of Psalm 22, that Jesus paid the price, the greatest price, with his life. The reason Jesus chose to do this, to bring us back into the flock, the prophet Isaiah describes people like this. We all, like sheep, have gone astray. Each of us has turned our own way, and the Lord has laid on him the iniquity of us all. You see, there are many shepherds and many flocks out there. They're not all equal. They are not all under the care and protection of Jesus, the Good Shepherd. This was not the original plan. When God created the world, he created human beings in his image. They were part of his sheepfold. They were part of his family. But when Adam and Eve chose to disobey God, they chose to leave the protection of God's flock. I know this sounds harsh, and it's an analogy that is stretching just a little bit, but go with me. They entered the sheepfold of another shepherd because, see, the reality is there are actually many shepherds, and there are shepherds that are of New Age spirituality or of Islam, Mormonism, Jehovah's Witness, even the shepherd and the flock of atheism. You have to be your own shepherd because there's no God. Living in these realities under the care of these shepherds means having to be enough on your own merit, because no other religion or spiritual thought says that somebody else pays the price for you. You have to earn it and earn your place in the flock. That's why, friends, Christianity is such good news. Jesus says, I am the good shepherd. The good shepherd lays down his life for the sheep. The hired hand is not the shepherd and doesn't own the sheep. So when he sees the wolf coming, he abandons the sheep and runs away because he's a hired hand. He cares nothing for the sheep. That first shepherd sounds like one that I'd be willing to ask for help from, no matter how stubborn I am. But we all agreed it depended on who we had to ask. So I invite you in to listen to this job description of the Good Shepherd to see if he's someone you'd be willing to ask. David wrote, "The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing." What is David talking about when he says, I lack nothing? See, David's first job was tending the family flock, so he understood that the shepherd takes care of all the basic needs of a sheep. By calling the Lord his shepherd, David is saying, I trust God to take care of my basic needs, and if I don't have it, I must not need it. This is not easy to say because we often get our needs and our wants all tangled up. Chris and I just got our sons this top-of-the-line power rack, and it has lots of safety features, which Chris is super excited about. But we decided that their weight plates were sufficient. Well, our 17-year-old son does not agree. He wants more. So he's been scoping out all the Black Friday deals. He doesn't need them now, but he wants them because in the future he's going to need them. Can you relate? Do you anticipate needs in the future, but get frustrated that God is not providing them in advance? Hang in there. The shepherd knows what the sheep need. He knows what you need. He goes on to say, He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters. He refreshes my soul. This image makes me chuckle a bit because when it says He makes me lie down in green pastures, I picture this shepherd like wrestling this sheep and saying, sit down, get him on the ground, stay there. Except I think we see it how we would be if we were the shepherd. This one's different. He is both tender and fierce, but He reserves fierce for the enemy. Typically, sheep graze on the patches of dry brush, commonly found in this arid region of Israel. But what David is describing here is anything but. It's more like Laura from Little House on the Prairie running down the hill, beautiful fields. It's green and it's beautiful. The shepherd is keenly aware of the needs of the sheep in his flock. It reminds me of how God provided for the Israelites traveling through the wilderness. He made water come out of rocks. He made the ingredients to cake fall from heaven. And He made quail nest near the camp. How good is God? He even provided Moses and the leaders to care for their interpersonal relationships. If the shepherd can do that for them, surely He can do that for me. Let's continue with the description of this good shepherd. It says, He guides me along the right paths for His name's sake. The word David used here for guide in the Hebrew is nahal. It describes the act of a powerful but caring party caring for a weaker, needy party. The shepherd acts on behalf of the helpless sheep because sheep need a shepherd. But what does David mean by right paths? It's typically dry and it's really hilly. So to get the sheep from one feeding ground to the next, the shepherd walks these narrow paths with the sheep in tow. The sheep don't look up, they just follow for His voice. They're just listening to Him as He leads them along these paths. If they stray off, there's a risk of significant injury, maybe even death. This sounds extreme, that's fair, but what I know in our context is that this is true. One decision, can have life-altering consequences. So how much more do we need the voice of the shepherd to lead us along these right paths, to make clear decisions? If we're honest, we don't know everything. We need the guidance of the one who does. He knows everything, and yet He cares for us. We need a shepherd. Verse 4 says, Even though I walk through the darkest valley, I will fear no evil, for You are with me. Your rod and Your staff, they comfort me. It's inevitable. Even these right paths will lead to dark valleys. We often don't talk about it, but part of following the Good Shepherd means there are going to be dark valleys, but we can trust Him. It's where the greenest grass is, but it's also where the predators lay to attack. My husband thinks that those who are on the attack are the Walmart shoppers. They stand in the middle of the aisle right in front of what you want. Their cart is laying out in the middle and they're just standing there. But I've assured him these are not the enemy. The real enemy is the one trying to stir up your anger, to make you feel invisible and to make you feel like you shouldn't care about anybody else. Now, Walmart might not be the darkest valley unless it's going to snow in Virginia, then maybe. But in all seriousness, some of you are walking through some very serious pains and struggles. It can really feel like the enemy is breathing down your neck. I get it. I've been there. What brings me comfort is knowing that the shepherd holds the implements to protect me. In one hand, he holds the staff to guide me, and the other, the rod to protect me, because the shepherd knows that I need a sheep. The shepherd knows that I need him. I love how David pulls together these two images of a king and a shepherd. In ancient times, kings were often referred to as shepherds also. So it's just beautiful that he puts this picture together. It says, you prepare a table before me in the presence of my enemies. You anoint my head with oil. My cup overflows. Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. You see, there are enemies waiting. They are not part of the sheepfold. They refuse the leadership of the king and the shepherd. They're not invited in. They're like the enemy here are like the mockers at the cross who were looking at Jesus, making fun of him for who he was. They rejected his leadership. They didn't want to be a part of his sheepfold. We have the opportunity, though, as we look at this good shepherd, we look at this job description. Is he someone that you can trust to be your shepherd? He wants to lead you and guide you. Today, will you trust him to be your good shepherd? Because sheep need a shepherd. The Lord is my shepherd, I lack nothing.
He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside quiet waters.
He guides me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Even though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I fear no evil, for you are with me. Your rod and your staff, they comfort me.
You prepare a feast for me in the presence of my enemies. You honor me by anointing my head with oil. My cup overflows with blessings.
Surely your goodness and love will follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever.